Okay, another beautiful day in Caxias in the fall-ish time, just zipping up my jacket. And oops, I don't know why I'm putting the garage door opener away. I need it as I walk out. So, clothes. So we definitely need to do something with our yard. It is very wow. That was my attempt at growing dill, and that's basil over there, and then you can't really see it. Like dill is actually growing in there, but it's not so happy right now. Anyway, let's get back to normal. So garage door is closed, and today, because the temperatures dropped pretty drastically, it was like 2 degrees last night Celsius, and that's not fun. So my brother-in-law is here staying with us, and he doesn't have a heater in his room, and also like he only has one blanket, and oh gosh, I know, oh how terrible, right? But like I'm telling you, I'm in the menopause age, well, the coming into, and I have a heater in my room and 2 blankets, and sometimes I'm still cold. So let's just say that. Now let's also say that sometimes I rip off the blankets and I'm just like, volcano. But yeah, so anyway, he is at the workplace where my husband is, where he builds 3D construction printers. So he's over there right now. My brother-in-law is. And so I said, well, I have time to take a walk today between client meetings. So I'm just going to go to this store and get him a little space heater and a blanket. So I'm just taking a walk on this road that I ride down all the time, but I've actually never walked past this area right now. So it's interesting. So you can just see everything that's around us, where we live, cute little houses and like stone sidewalks and this kind of cobblestone street. It's always like when we get off the main street and we go to these cobblestone, it's like, yeah, I just moved the camera around the way that it would move if we were driving over it right now. So anyway, cute, look at these cute little tiles. So today, like because it's like fresh on my mind, I want to sort of talk about maybe like hopefully the close of this kind of thing that's happening, right? Like this, I guess I'm gonna walk past this dog. Hello, doggo. Eating trash. Hopefully it's good. So, my last episode was all about projection and how we can create our own dreams that appear to be infiltration type of dreams. And, they are in a way, because projections are a type of infiltration, or at least a type of something trying to enter your energy field, and it just kind of depends on what you do with that in that dream space. Anyway, I have done a lot of work around some stuff that was being projected at me pretty hardcore. Like, I'm sure I talked about it in my other episodes too, so there's no need to really go too deep into that. But there's a jiu-jitsu gym. Oh no, it's just like a gym. Kind of cool here. So the fact is that sometimes if you're in a group and you're surrounded by people who sort of buy into fear-based leadership and don't trust their own intuition, their own sovereignty, and in fact, many people are not sovereign. They're operating in this robotic kind of group mindless mentality where if, kind of like cancel culture type of thing, like, if somebody tells me something about someone else, then I'm going to believe them because I don't know how to use my own senses. And it's sad because some people in authority type of positions use people like this. They prey on them. And it's just sad and unconscionable. And so I want to talk about overcoming that when you're being heavily psychically attacked. Because it can feel very scary, very isolating, and especially if you're kind of new to the field and you're kind of starting to just be excited about being in the spiritual field and knowing people who are like-minded and being in what you thought were beautiful groups of people. It can be very scary when someone who has sort of learned how to use their, I'll just say, psychic senses, and if they decide that they don't like you or you're doing something against them or that threatens them in some way, that can be a very scary proposition because people, unfortunately, can be very mean. All right, enough said about that. So, lots of traffic. I had this major attempt at psychic attack the night before last, and there was also an attempt to make it appear to other people and or make me believe that one of the healers that I work with are somehow fake, in the dark. You get what I'm saying? So there was this attempt to do this smear campaign and then to cause me to question my own sanctity, my own sovereignty, and my own light. Well, throughout these series of dreams that I had when this was happening, I didn't fail to proclaim my sovereignty. And that was just so beautiful to see. But there are a few things that just made me feel like, oh wow, they're literally coming at me. And in the dream space, I was kind of like, wait, am I? I gotta run, hold on. Like, am I good? Which, now that I look back on it, I'm just like, wow, that's so laughable. But I'm also glad that I'm not so egotistical that I think, nothing could possibly attack me or cause me to dim my light or something. Like, I look at myself every day and go, okay, am I in the flow? Awesome. Yeah. And I just don't get into that oh, I'm so much more healed than you, so much better than you, whatever. I'm just paraphrasing and maybe just making things up, but it is a feeling that I have gotten from being in some groups. Okay, so whatever, this isn't about them. This is more about the overcoming of that massive attack. Anyway, so I shared with the healer who was also being attempted to be discredited. And I said, hey, here's the different things that we need to clear. And I got some of those things from my new dream tool, which is just kind of in the, maybe not even at the beta testing place yet, but whatever. I don't want to use all the time talking about that, because I'll do another episode when we talk about the dream tool. Anyway, sort of using my spiritual hygiene protocol, I told this other healer, here's some things that you could clear if you want to. And I just did this massive clearing. And then the other thing that my dreams had been showing me is that I need to fight against it. I can't just sit back. I have to say something to clear my name. And so one of the things that I did was I talked to a few different trusted healers and told them what was going on. And just, for one thing, it was beautiful to be supported by them, because it's so nice when you reach out and then the help is there, right? But you gotta reach out. You have to be open and vulnerable. So, and then one of the healers just started breaking out in channel, and that was really nice, because she started just saying, oh, you need to do this, and here's the other thing that's coming up. And she kind of told me the way to visualize it. So then I did that other clearing with her. And then I found this healing that I had created. It was like a healing clearing recording, and I created a long time ago, a year and a half ago, when I just had the inspiration. I knew that this thing needed to come out. And so I made it, but I never used it. And I found it, and it was for claiming sovereignty and clearing out sadness. And I thought that's interesting, because there was sadness related to the loss of who I thought were in the light, who I thought were sort of, I don't know how to say it, but just people who I was aligned with, right? So there was this feeling of loss, this feeling of sadness around that. And so last night I listened to that. So that was kind of like the last thing that I did. And wow, my dreams were so amazing. So it took me all that time, like 15 minutes, to lead you up to talk about my dreams. And guess what? I'm already at this store where I'm going to buy this stuff, Havan. But I want you to see this. I'm in New York. Haha. It's kind of neat. It's like a little piece of home, right? This big Statue of Liberty statue here. So anyway, as I approach the store, I'm going to stop filming, recording, and then I'm going to go in and get my stuff, and then I will hopefully be able to talk about my dream on the way back, because I'm just thinking, oh well, I'm going to have my hands full, but we'll see. Maybe I can. Okay. So I got myself this blanket. Well, like I said, it's not for me. And then I got the heater, and I got 2 little boxes of coffee pods. That is hazelnut latte. And yes, here in Brazil, I can drink things with milk products in it because it's not tainted like in other countries. So anyway, not naming any countries, but I can't drink the milk or have milk products in America. Anyway, so let's talk about the dreams where I left off as I walk back home. Well, now I had to remember them. Okay, I'm getting it. Okay, I had to look it up because I don't know. It's like after I write it down and I diagnose it, it's like it's gone. Like I knew that the thing that was trying to get to me was gone, so I just kind of forgot. Anyway, in the beginning of the dream, I'm just kind of overhead, I'm like kind of like not really flying, but just I'm over. I can see everything around me, right? And I'm up high, and I see down below is this little town area that's all green, like a park, and it's created in a circle, and then it has other circles attached to it, and I kind of zoom in and I can see everybody just enjoying and feeling like open and free and laying in the sun. Just a great scene. And I'm thinking, oh, I think that's where I'll go. And then and then I see myself in part of that area, and I see a house that is the set of a movie I started watching with my brother-in-law yesterday. And funny enough, the movie, it's called Heretic. And the movie we didn't make it through the whole one, but it starts to talk about all the religions, and it starts out with these Mormons coming to talk to this guy, and this guy apparently has studied a lot of religions, and he's talking about them, and I'm just like, wow, interesting, kind of like cult-like, right? Like I was talking about in the last episode. But so there's the set of this, the house, which the house in the dream kind of has this it locks from the inside. You can't get out, and it has this torture type of chamber in it, in the back of the house. Well, when I'm looking at it in the dream, I'm seeing that it's just a facade. Isn't that funny? Like, I'm looking at this torture house and it's a facade. Wow. Anyway, then it has a big sign in front of it, but the name, oh, hello, birdie. The name has been changed from Heretic to Retreat. And then there's also a raven, but it's a human. It's a female. And she's dressed up as a mascot. So she's kind of like a mascot for this, this campaign, let's say, that was, aimed at me. And in it, I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what I was so afraid of before with this whole thing. And I just like basically saw how I could turn the whole thing into joy, and just started having fun in that place. And then I saw other people come and just kind of see it, like just see it and not be afraid and just go on with their business, like go on with their relaxation and whatever they're doing. So that was so funny, because a lot of times you'll see, well, this is what I see sometimes when a raven shows up in a dream. And I did talk about this in the last episode about cults. It's a symbol of something is trying to reach you, something from the airways, let's say. And ravens are often associated with negativity, in a way. Like, I understand, like, ravens are actually my favorite bird, but in a dream it can be something different. And since I was like, people were actively trying to smear me, it was clearly that's what it was, right? So anyway, this raven now has no power. I've transmuted that. And then I'm in this cafe, and there's a celebrity with me. Well, I'm waiting for some people. And big truck. So then they come and we start putting inline skates on, and it's a celebrity, and I can't picture, like, I can kind of see them. You know what? Just in the moment, I'm realizing who I think it was. I think it was Thomas John, the famous medium from Manhattan. And anyway, gosh, it's so loud. I love Thomas John. Like, he is very compassionate. When he uses his gift, he uses it to help people. So like, Thomas John showing up in my dream is just always a good thing. Anyway, so it's him, and it's Tim Tactics. And for those of you who kind of follow what I do, I was not too long ago in a podcast with Tim Tactics and Nochi and Eric. And as I said earlier, the part of the smear campaign was against Nochi. Anyway, so Tim is associated with Nochi. And in this dream, Tim, me, and Thomas John, we are skating, and we're going just like down the streets, and it's really like everything's going great. It feels great. We're moving with ease. We pass that place that, is now a facade, and I was just like, wow, like, I'm just kind of like observing it, and just, not much more than that. And one thing that I notice is whenever we turn a corner or something, I get ahead of them. Like, I go ahead and then I wait for them to catch up, which when I thought about that, I was like, they are sort of, celebrities, and I trust their vision, So, gosh, this is going to be complicated to cross right here because there's a big truck in the way. Okay, but I think I got it. So I trust their vision, and so I'm okay with like letting them show which direction we're going. And like, but what I really loved about that part of it is that Tim is associated with Nochi, and Nochi was part of that, people trying to discredit her or her association with me. And so it just kind of brought it full circle, like everything's good. And then we came back to this cafe, and Thomas John was going to have this big social media in-person party. And of course I was like, yeah, I'm going, I'm there. And like, it's like I didn't even have to be invited. I knew I was there, right? And he goes, we're at the cafe window because it's an outdoor cafe, and the menu is written in a circle. Like, it was just illustrations of what was on the menu, and it was in a circle. And he said, what do you think I should get? And I said, well, for sure frozen yogurt. Like, I could taste it. It seemed like it was going to be so tasty. And then he's like, okay. And then he got some kind of topping on top of it, like some colorful fruity topping. And then I said, well, I'm going to get something. Like, that sounds so good. So I also got frozen yogurt, and I asked him, like, hey, is there any chocolate kind of topping? And he said, oh, there's black licorice. And I said, no, I want something chocolatey, like cookie chocolatey. And I don't know if he pointed it out, but then I saw, I think he pointed it out that there were these Cocoa Puffs. And so I was like, yes, Cocoa Puffs, perfect. And something from childhood that I really love, but also just the logo of Cocoa Puffs, or the catchphrase is, I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And, that's like being seen as being cuckoo is something that is symbolic of being fully in the flow. So, and as you know, if you've done any work with me, and if you've done my dream work, you know that being in the flow is what I look for in every dream. Like, where does the dream show you that you're in the flow? So anyway, that was the end of the dream. Like, I ordered that, and I was about to get it and enjoy it. So, wow, right? I called this dream the overcoming because so many things. So one other thing that was really neat that came out of this is that now I've sort of got this process that I know even better how to use my spiritual hygiene tools. And those crappy energies, those unfortunate egotistical projections, they stand no chance. They stand no chance against people who are literally working in the light for the light. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, I'm not quite home yet, so I'm just thinking, well, why don't I just share with you another dream that a client had. She had this dream a couple nights ago, probably the same night, maybe the night before that I had this projection dream. And like, so I'll preface it a little bit by saying this is the other thing that some people do, is they use their psychic connection or permissions that they have through someone in order to try to get to another person who's associated with that person who they have psychic permissions with. So sometimes if you it's just kind of steep. Sometimes if you do a meditation with someone and you haven't, used proper spiritual hygiene, or you've given, you've allowed your field to open in a way that makes you psychically vulnerable, and it happens to be a person or group that practices this way, which it's unfortunate, and yeah, we don't like it to be a thing, but it absolutely is. I mean, you see in my dreams these kinds of things, and I see it in my clients' dreams. So yeah, it happens. Anyway, the point is, you learn spiritual hygiene and you can take care of it. Anyway, this student is one of my spiritual hygiene students. Well, she's graduated now. She's really quite good, but she doubts her own abilities. But she's doing clearings every night, like just trying different things and learning and seeing what works, what doesn't work. And I'll look at her dreams and I'll say, oh, okay, well, the clearing you did last night, you sort of left an energetic door open, and we talked about that to figure out what it was that she did, and realized that she didn't go into this monitored portal to do the work. Now, talking about portals is a whole other thing. I tell my students, if you ever see any portal, it just needs to be closed, right? Because that's not the proper way to move now. But there's a monitored portal that showed up in my dreams that was approved by my then decent mentor. Anyway, not anymore. That mentor is not my decent mentor anymore, but whatever, like, it doesn't matter. But this is a monitored portal where it is heavily monitored by the light, these 3 high vibrational light beings, and they do not let anyone come in who hasn't been, like, who isn't approved, basically. And also, I'm trying to cross the street here. When you go behind this portal, you cannot be interfered with. You cannot get an infiltration. So it was shown to me in my dreams to help me be able to teach people how to use their psychic abilities, how to use their channeling and clearing and things safely. So anyway, she didn't happen to go behind the portal this time, so we figured that out. Anyway, so she has this dream last night and she's still worried about it. And so I looked at it and I said, you've got nothing to worry about. Look, you stopped these potential infiltrators. There were some guys in the dream that were trying to get at her, trying to touch her, but in the dream she was like, I got them to go away. she created a energetic boundary and she commanded her space, which is what I tell people to do. I'm like, you have to command. And she did that, and in the dream it showed that only those who were allowed to be next to her could be there. And so that was really neat. Then the dream also showed that she doubted herself. So even though she had stopped them, she was still afraid that, like, she stopped them and she got away. Like, she got to some safe place and she was going to take a shower, and she was still doubting that she did it. But anyway, looking at her dream, she absolutely did it. And so with that, perfect. We are at the end, and I will see you guys another time.